return to Hogwarts to unravel all the mysteries and Easter eggs hidden in Harry Potter's history and his legacy. And what a coincidence! You two have received a letter to take this magic and secrets course. So start waving around your magic wand and hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications. But be careful not to cast the wrong spell. Here are 25 secrets from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Every story has a beginning and an end, except One Piece, Detective Conan, or Cher's biopic. Those are forever. Although Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone ends with Hagrid saying goodbye to Harry, Ron, and Hermione, the film's director revealed in a podcast that this scene was the first to be shot in the entire film. It's funny that the scene where they all say goodbye was actually the scene that started this whole adventure. The Mirror of Arise has the word desire backwards. If you take a look at the inscriptions on top of it, you can read the following sentence. If you put it in front of a mirror, you will discover that it says, I show not your face, but your heart's desire. A clue to how this mirror really works. Whoever looks in it will be able to see what he or she desires most. Magic is a great and powerful thing that can cross space and time, but there's something even stronger, memes. And Emma Watson became one of the biggest in history for the way she pronounced this.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Whatever the language, Wingardium Leviosa became one of the global memes to express all the superiority that scene conveyed. First unintentional achievement of the movie unlocked. You probably haven't forgotten the feast that took place in Hogwarts Great Hall, and neither have the actors. Apparently, the food on that table was totally real and could be eaten, but only for the first day. Warwick Davis, the actor who played Professor Flitwick, revealed that the food was kept on the set for up to 4 days during filming. It was served during the first day, and the actors were allowed to eat it, but from the second day onwards, it was forbidden and they had to pretend they were eating it. The worst thing about filming there was the smell, which became pretty unpleasant when the food was more than 3 nights on the table. This detail will leave you petrificus totalis. Did you notice that Harry Potter doesn't cast a single spell during the whole film? Hermione or Ron do some magic on several occasions, but not a single spell comes out of Harry's mouth in the first part. You may need time to process this, but let's move on to the next secret. In Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone credits, we can see that Richard Bremer, the actor who plays Lord Voldermot, is labeled as he who must not be named. A funny detail from the movie crew. There are many little things that have been taken care of during the filming of this movie. One of them is the position of the scarves of the main characters. If you look at them, you will see that they wear their scarves in a different way. Hermione's is perfectly tied, a reflection of her personality and obsession with control and perfection. Ron's is simply hanging around his neck, hinting at his laziness and simplicity. Harry's is around his neck, showing the character's resolute and noble character. During the scene where Harry Potter and his friends have their first class with Professor Snape, Rupert Grint, the actor who plays Ron, started drawing a portrait of Snape to pass the time. Snape saw it and took it with humor, so he asked him to sign it. Shortly after Deathly Hallows Part 2, Alan Rickman confessed that he still kept the cartoon, and it seems that he remembered that moment with great joy.
I made him sign it, and I have it in my possession, and I'm very fond of it.
There are several deleted scenes that were left out of the final cut of the film, including Aunt Petunia dyeing Dudley's uniform for Harry, an extended version of Snape's class, Hagrid confessing to Harry that he'd like to have a dragon. Spoiler alert, he gets it in the end. Harry reading information from a card about Nicholas Flamel and Grindelwald, and 2 more cutscenes where the characters have conversations about their friendship. There was another deleted fragment where Aunt Petunia was opening eggs with Hogwarts letters inside. According to the actress, in order to make the owl stare at her through the window, a dead mouse was hung on her apron. The Sorcerer's Stone is the key item in the first Harry Potter film, but it's not known by the same name all over the world. In the UK, it's called the Philosopher's Stone, while in the US, it's the Sorcerer's Stone. This change between English versions meant that all the scenes where the name of the stone was said had to be recorded twice, once with each word.
Nicholas Flamel is the only known maker of the Philosopher's Stone.
What?
A detail for the most eagle-eyed of people: to prevent muggles from discovering the leaky cauldron, the key to access Diagon Alley, this location only appears when a wizard approaches. Notice that, as Hagrid and Harry approach, the sign begins to display the letters of the leaky cauldron. When Snape discovers that Harry is not paying attention in class, he blurts out the following question.
What would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood?
It seems that this scene didn't go unnoticed, as Snape is believed to be sending a secret message to Harry using floriography, a language used in the early 20th century to communicate between merchants. According to the types of flowers Snape mentions, wormwood would translate as, "It causes me great sorrow," and asphodel, which is a type of lily, is understood as respect for loss. Finally, Lily could also be a reference to Potter's mother, named Lily. Put it all together, we could interpret it as Snape being sad and apologizing for Lily's death to Harry Potter. While Hermione goes home for Christmas, Harry and Ron stay at Hogwarts playing chess. This game was a sort of prophecy of what was going to happen months later, just before they found the Sorcerer's Stone. The final test was a game of giant magical chess, and the move Ron makes is the same move he made with Harry during Christmas. As you are all expert historians, you'll know that this chess game was inspired by a relic found on the Isle of Lewis in 1831, but just in case you don't, here's a reminder. Hermione kept a secret inside her mouth during the film, but only for a few scenes. The first one, just before leaving, Hermione's on the train and asks Harry a question, revealing her teeth. Did you notice anything strange about them? Well, you should, because they're not her real teeth.
These are teeth number 3, and I think these are the best.
In this first recording, they tried Hermione wearing dentures to make her teeth bigger. It seems that bothered her because she only wore them during that scene, although I'm sure even the most eagle-eyed dentist didn't notice this detail. And we continue with the problems with the main characters who couldn't fit in 100% with what the producers wanted. Harry has his mother's eyes. They repeat that over and over in the films. At the beginning, Daniel Radcliffe was forced to wear green contact lenses. The attempt was a disaster because it turned out that the actor was allergic to contact lenses, so in the end, they left his eyes natural. When casting Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, J.K. Rowling, the author of the books, imposed that all the actors had to be British. This meant that Robin Williams, who was very keen to be in the film, was ruled out as Hagrid and couldn't take part in the movies because he was American. They also considered Jamie Bell as Harry Potter because of his role in Billy Elliot, but they needed a younger actor, so they finally settled on Daniel Radcliffe and his beautiful blue eyes when they saw him in the film David Copperfield. During the film, we see that Neville is given a Remember-All by his grandmother, and when he holds it in his hands, it turns red. This indicates that the character has forgotten something and has to remember it. The problem is that he doesn't know what. The scene ends like this, and it's impossible to know what Neville actually forgot. But one of the most widespread theories is that what he really forgot was to wear his tunic to go to the Great Hall. If you look at the scene, everyone is wearing robes except him, so it's a pretty plausible theory. The house on Privet Drive wasn't a very welcoming place for Harry, especially because of the bad treatment he received on a daily basis. We wouldn't be surprised if the neighbors were just as unpleasant, because in this scene, we can see that both the houses and the cars of all of them are identical to the Dursleys. It shows how drab and boring the Muggle world can be compared to the magical world. In fact, this neighborhood actually exists, and it's located in Berkshire. It was used for filming during the first film, but was later recreated in a studio when the neighbors demanded way more money to make the following parts. For some scenes in the film, real trained owls were used and up to 3 different owls played the role of Hedwig. The rest was done by computer or CGI because they were a bit of a pain to work with. And speaking of CGI, at first real candies were used to decorate Hogwarts Great Hall, but as they started to give problems when they fell on the floor, they were eventually replaced by computer models. When Harry discovers that his father was a Quidditch champion, we can read on the commemorative plaque that Professor Minerva McGonagall was also a member of his team. Also, just behind it, we can see the plaque of honor awarded to Tom Riddle for falsely accusing Hagrid and his spider, Aragog, of murdering Moaning Myrtle. The Harry Potter logo exists by pure chance. The original design first appeared on the illustrated cover of the first book, and at the time there was no thought of adapting it to the big screen. It was designed by the book's illustrator Mary Grandpré, and it was so ingenious that it was transferred as is to the cinematic universe. This is considered to be quite a feat because normally films don't directly carry the logos from the books, but in this case, it was the right thing to do. Before the first Harry Potter film, Hogwarts was an imaginary place. There was no clear representation of how it was built, so Rowling had to make a complete map of Hogwarts so that the film's producers would know how it was laid out. That's how the world's most famous school of witchcraft and wizardry was shaped. Uncle Vernon certainly knew how to handle the situation with Hogwarts owls. He didn't let a single one into his house, so they all waited patiently outside. This scene is actually a reference and homage to Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, where a bunch of killer birds mercilessly harass humans. Dudley's gift of going to the zoo turned into a nightmare when he ended up inside the snake's tank, although there was already a hint as to what might be going on in there before they entered. Just as they arrive to the zoo, they come across a bunch of young men dressed in green, a reference to Slytherin and their costumes, as well as an omen that something was gonna happen with a snake in the zoo. Now I'm sure some of you are such Harry Potter fans that you'll recognize all the paintings on Hogwarts staircases. Okay, maybe that's too many, but one of them is pretty special. It is a painting of Anne Boleyn, Queen Consort of England in the 16th century, who was accused of being a witch. Among the rumors, it was said that she had a sixth finger on one hand and a third breast. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the best curiosities about movies and video games. And don't miss these we're leaving here. Mischief managed!